the hard work, all the pain, all the sweat, all the anguish. The time is now. Ain't no run, ain't no hide. Two teams gonna enter, and one team gonna leave with his head up, the other's gonna leave with his head down. If you get knocked down, that's okay. It's who can last the round. And you got to throw them balls. You can't hold nothing back. Don't get caught up in the hype. It's time to fight. From beginning, you fight to win. In the middle, you fight to win. In the end, you fight to win. We always work to what? Win. Let's go win.
Hello and welcome to the ASU Football Buzz, the show that gives you an in-depth look at the football team here at Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm your host, Mo Carter, and I was joined as always by head coach Brian Jenkins. The Hornets are coming off a big win on the road at Jackson State, in which the field conditions were not perfect, but were able to pull off a victory and get over the 500 mark. Coach, congratulations on leading your team to another victory. How does it feel to finally be over that 500 mark for the first time this year?
Well, it just feels good to win. That's my number one thing is be 1-0 after every game, and going into Jackson and playing under the conditions we played in. I'm just glad to get out of there with a victory.
Now, of course, this was the second week in a row we've had to deal with Mother Nature's bearings. I know you said that you don't plan for the elements, you do a game plan, but this was a special situation. Last week, we had field turf in the rain. This week, we had to deal with the rain, the cold, and the mud. But at the same time, too, ball control along with just making limited mistakes were keys over the weekend.
Absolutely, you know, and we had some of that weather here throughout the last 2 weeks or so we were totally prepared. Mentally, our guys were focused and ready to do whatever we needed to do to win that game. So going in under those conditions, we knew what we were up against. We knew we were going to face a resilient team in Jackson State, and we knew we were going to be in some very, very hard conditions. But nevertheless, our guys were prepared and ready, and the coaching staff did a phenomenal job at preparing this team to go into a hostile environment under these conditions and play and finding a way to come out victorious.
Now, another thing as well that we'll take a look at, we played keep away all night long because we had time of possession about 40 minutes throughout the entire game, in which basically, hey, we just held it away from an offense that was one of the top offenses in the SWAC.
Right, but the number one thing we wanted to do is control the ball, keep the ball offensively, win the game by winning field position or putting points on the board. And so we did that. You know, the thing that come away from that game I'm a little disappointed at is we was in the red zone a couple times and we didn't come away with any points. So that's something that I'm paying attention to, and the coaching staff is really looking at to make sure we make some adjustments so that don't happen again.
We'll take an in-depth look at those red zone situations coming up, but right now what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of the highlights from Alabama State's 17-12 victory over Jackson State.
Hello, Hornets family. I'm head coach Brian Jenkins.
Hello, Hornet family. I'm Melvin Hines, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics.
We're coming to you today to ask the Hornet family to get involved and make contributions to the Devine Gales Fund.
And you can find a link on BamaStateSports.com for the Devine Gale Fund.
As you know, Devine Gales is a young man that participated in football at Southern University. Unfortunately, he had a tragic injury.
So come on, Hornet family. The opportunity is here. The opportunity is now. Support the fund.
And welcome back to the ASU Football Buzz. I'm your host, Mo Card. I'm joined with Coach Brian Jenkins. The coach will break down the game now. Of course, we went down to Jackson State. Not the ideal conditions. Win 17-12, but let's start off early on. Teams trying to just get a feel early on, both on our side of the ball and their side of the ball. But finally, on our first scoring drive, we drive it down the field, 12 plays, 94 yards, 11 plays had positive results. And once we get inside the red zone, we avoid disaster with a pop pass, but then we get a pass interference to get another first down.
Right, definitely. I mean, the conditions were horrendous. You know, the field was in bad shape, and I don't know if it was anything else they could have done to have the field in better shape. But the bottom line was our team anchored down and just paid attention to detail and was very focused on operating that offense at a high level. You know, I think Coach Mark Orlando called a great game. He put our offense in a position to move the ball and as well as have ball control. You know, and our guys were able to respond when we got pinned back early, and we drove the field and punched it in. You know, like I say, we got in the red zone. We stalled a little bit. We got a pass interference call, but we came right back and was able to punch it in and put some points on the board. So I was very proud to see our team respond the way they did, especially under the conditions that we were under.
That touchdown was scored by Ellis Richardson, and we'll talk about this all night long. The offensive line and the job they did against that Jackson State defensive front. What a wonderful performance once again by those big guys up front.
Right, the big guys up front they're coming along, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, Coach Pearson is very demanding, and he pushes them in every way he can to get the best out of them. And when you got a coach like Coach Pearson coaching your guys, the only thing you're going to get is positive results, because this guy is never satisfied. He always wants more. He always wants his players to elevate themselves on and off the field. So, you know, it's not a surprise that our offensive line is producing and performing the way they are. And all the respect and everything that's happening up front goes strictly to Coach Pearson and his effort and his coaching ability to get those guys playing.
Now let's jump to midway in the second. We get the ball on their side of the field, but we're forced to punt. But we get a touchback, but then we turn up the pressure on the defensive side of the ball. Two interesting plays that if we would have had instant replay, I figured we would have probably got a touchdown out of one of these. Dominique Jackson knocks the ball out of Jabari Payton's hand. Looks like Kenyon Davis would have picked it up and went for a touchdown. Then we send pressure again. Darius Washington and Hump come and go to sack and strip Ivy. It looks like the ball goes into the end zone. We're about to pick it up, but he called it incomplete pass. What were you seeing on those situations? I'm sure you had to tell the ref something in that process too.
Well, my thing, I thought the whistle was blown too early on one of the plays, you know, and you know, but the refs saw what they saw and they called what they called. So, you know, I can't question them. I didn't agree with it. You know, I thought both of them were turnovers, but you know, the refs called what they called and they saw what they saw. So we had to go along with it. And no matter what they called, we still had to play the ball game. And we had to find a way to finish the ball game. And our guys did that. So, you know, those are two plays that may have gotten away from us. But, you know, hey, they're judgment calls. And the refs made the judgment the best that they knew how. So, you know, I accepted it and just kept coaching our team to play and find a way to win. Now,
Jackson State would shank a punt, so we ended up getting great field position. We get down to the 2-yard line, but then on 3 straight plays, we have a tackle for a loss of 3, then a tackle for a loss for 5, and a tackle for a loss for 6. We have to settle for a field goal to go up 10-0.
Right. I think we got, you know, out of our rhythm a little bit, seeing some things and given too many ideals, but it still comes down to execution, and Jackson State had some good calls, and they were able to cause some minus yards, on our offense. So, I mean, we just got to do a better job. I got to do a better job of making sure that I'm seeing things clearly to make sure that the right play is called, and I got a lot of faith in Coach Mark Orlando. He does a wonderful job play calling and has always done that. But we just lost our rhythm a little bit there and didn't complete the task. And it's a couple things we didn't execute well either. So, but I take full responsibility for it. I'm the head coach, and I got to make sure everything is operating at a high level. And right then and there, it wasn't. So I take full responsibility for that letdown in that part of the game, and I got to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Now we head into the locker room with a 10-0 lead. Of course, you guys are trying to find a way to dry off as well in that process. But what was the message to the team at that point?
I don't know if you could have found a way to dry off. I mean, by the halftime, I was looking for a boat, man. I mean, that water was coming down, and you couldn't do anything to get dry. But my message was to the team was, hey, we got to finish this thing. That's just bottom line, and no matter how we got to get it, we got to find a way to get it. And the team understood. They were ready, primed and ready to go back out and play under those conditions, and nobody, was worried about the conditions. And they were continuing to correct each other on some different things, and that's what continues to impress me about this team. They are really coming along when it comes to the mental aspect of the game and when it comes to self-correction. But we got together as a coaching staff, put our plan together. Defense made some little bit of changes, and we did some adjustments offensively. And the number one thing we wanted to do was come out and secure the game and find a way to win.
You mentioned a boat, so were you thinking that maybe you might have to round up 2 animals of every kind before you left Jackson, Mississippi?
Man, I tell you what, that thought came to my mind for a minute. But I tell you what, nevertheless, it was good to see this team perform under those conditions. And that lets me know that they're getting the message that no matter what they're up against, we got to play a ball game, and we got to play a focused, detailed, disciplined ball game. And I think we did the best that we could do under those conditions, and because of that, we were able to come out victorious.
Now, moving on into the third quarter, we have a short drive that stalls. We're forced to punt. Kwame Bowens of Jackson State gets through the line, blocks it, scoops it, score it, makes it a touchdown.
Right.
It's 10-6. Ron Henderson does block the extra point to keep it to 10-6, but I'm sure you were not happy with the way it was blocked up and allowing that guy to come through.
No, I wasn't. It was just total poor operation and on our behalf. And like I say, when things are not right, I got to take full responsibility for it. It's something that I didn't do well enough coaching or correcting. And it was just a total letdown in operation, and I'm responsible for that. And so, and I told the coaching staff and the team that, hey, that part was on me, and I put our team in a bad situation on that end, because other than that, they're shut out, for that part of the game until late in the game when they scored a touchdown. But that it was just poor operation, and when you have poor operation, then there's poor coaching. And so I just got to take full responsibility and look at correcting that immediately, because Prairie View has been very successful at blocking punts, and so they blocked 2 against Alcorn. So we got to make sure we get that corrected, and I will get that corrected. And I'm sure Coach Hendricks is ready to get it corrected as well. So, we just got to do a better job coaching. That's just bottom line.
Okay, so of course, the next time Jackson State gets the ball, they finally have really their first drive that results in positive yards. They get their first down, which was far into the second half. However, we are able to pin our ears back on the defensive side of the ball and force a fumble in that process as well. And force a fumble in that process. While they were going down the field, Bradley Street was the man that recovers the fumble, stopping their drive. Right,
definitely. Our defense was given a little bit, they were on the field a little long, because we had stalled offensively. But as always, they just bowled up and continued to play team defense, continue to swarm the football. And our main thing is, hey, just keep swarming the ball. If the offense has a good play, regroup, stay in the moment, and just keep swarming the ball. And they did that. And they were able to cause a turnover, which stopped Jackson State's drive. And it came at the right time, because Jackson State was gaining some momentum. But it was good to see our defense accept their challenge and respond.
And we'll go to probably the play of the game. Stanley Robertson, the halfback pass a la LaDainian Tomlinson, San Diego Charger years 2.
Right.
DeMario Bell that had to be tipped up by a Jackson State defender, but the concentration by Bell to actually look at the ball, see it tip and caught for the touchdown really made the difference.
Right, it did. It did. It was a tremendous play, and everybody needs a little luck to win. And right there, our luck came into play. But I think that if it was a dry game, you know, Stanley would have threw a perfect ball because he's done it all year. But it was just good, you know, to see DeMario Bell keep his concentration and find a way to make a play. And that's what we tell our guys. Hey, everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to make a play. And it was good to see DeMario Bell once again make a play. And in the end, it was a play that helped us secure the ball game.
All right, and with that being said, Alabama State scores a 17-12 victory against Jackson State on the road. Another victory, the 5th victory of the season for Coach Brian Jenkins and his football team. When we return, we'll have the Swarm and Sting players of the game, and we'll also take a look at how well this defense really did play in this previous week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For nearly 150 years, Alabama State University has embraced a mission that is student-focused, academically rigorous, and increasingly global in its vision and scope, with a growing emphasis on scientific research and innovations. With more than 5,000 students representing all 50 states and hailing from countries around the world, Alabama State University offers more than 50 academic programs housed in its 6 degree-granting colleges. As the university expands its science and technology footprint, 2 of our colleges are working on major advancements in STEM-related research and applications. The College of Health Sciences, which boasts in-demand programs such as physical therapy and prosthetics and orthotics, is changing lives with technological advancements that improve the quality of life for injured veterans, stroke victims, and patients who have experienced amputations and other injuries impacting motor control. A recent $500,000 Department of Defense grant was used to secure a state-of-the-art interactive system that allows for advanced study of human motion. Students and professors in the College of Science, Mathematics, and Technology are conducting cutting-edge research in areas ranging from nanobiotechnology to tissue engineering, thanks to millions of dollars in grant funding from institutions such as the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Department of Energy, and the National Institutes of Health. The college is home to several STEM-related centers of excellence, including the National Science Foundation's Center for Nanobiotechnology Research. The university's flagship college, the College of Education, has been ranked among the nation's leading producers of African American educators. The College of Liberal Arts and Social Science prepares graduates for careers in fields ranging from communications to law. The College of Business Administration is recognized for producing entrepreneurs and leaders in business and industry. The College of Visual and Performing Arts has launched graduates to Broadway and beyond. From Broadway to boardrooms, from classrooms to crime scenes, ASU graduates are leaving their mark and making a difference in Alabama, in the nation, and around the globe. Alabama State University. Opportunity is here.
And welcome back to the ASU Football Buzz. I'm Mo Carter, and I'm joined by Coach Brian Jenkins. And Coach, now it's time to talk about your Swarm and Sting Players of the Week following your 17-12 victory over Jackson State.
Right, I tell you what, to pick the Players of the Week is very hard. I mean, because it was a total team effort, you know. So what I'm going to go with, personally, I'm going to go with the offensive line, you know, as the Players of the Week, because they did a very good job protecting the quarterback and opening up holes to where we could rush for over 200 yards again. And I think whenever you can do that as a team, your hats go off to the offensive line. So I'm going to pick those big guys up front, them and Coach Pearson as the offensive players of the week. Defensive players of the week, I tell you what, I'm going to pick the entire defense. I think the entire defense deserves to be recognized because this was one of the top offenses in the SWAC. And we were able to hold them to just right around 200, 250 yards or so and cause several turnovers. So I think that because of that, that takes a total defensive effort to get that done. So the defensive player of the week, I'm just going to pick the entire defense.
All right, let's harp on that just a little bit now. Of course, that defense, 230 was what they held Jackson State to, and that is literally phenomenal considering the fact they are averaging about 450 yards per game. Also, by halftime, Jackson State had less than 30 yards of total offense, so I can see why you want to definitely talk like total defense. We had 8 3-and-outs with Jackson State as well, so this defense it's really, really coming around, especially from this past week.
They are. They're growing. They're growing. They're work in progress, but they're growing and they're getting better, you know. And that's a good thing. Whenever you can see your team continue to progress through the season, that's really good. And I see this defense getting better, and we still got a lot of things to correct because there's some plays that we missed that we should have made, you know, on the touchdown that they made, the second touchdown they made. We missed about 4 tackles, you know, and if we make those tackles, one of those 4 tackles, then they don't get into the end zone and it's 4th down. So, but this defense is getting better, but we still got a long ways to go. And I tell you what, the defensive coaches are doing a phenomenal job. My co-defense coordinators, you know, Lou West and Ted Dasher are really putting together a good game plan and working together. And you know, the other coaches, DeMarco, Amp, and Coach Hendricks are doing a good job having their guys primed and ready to perform. So it's good to see our defense get better as the year goes on.
Now, I did speak to Coach McNeil this past week before the game, and he said he was licking his chops for this game because looking at the video, so many teams were getting pressure on Jackson State with just their basic defensive linemen, and it showed this past week we can do the same thing.
Right.
Humph and Big Henderson and Ghost and those guys just getting the pressure. We barely had to send blitzes most of the night,
Right.
maybe, and the times we did, it was just,
Right.
hey, we're just going to send the cavalry on that one. But yeah, the offensive line of Jack State was nothing for our defensive line.
Well, our defensive line did a good job, and Coach McNeil does a good job making sure our guys understand their gap responsibility. And that's the thing that's improved the most is our guys understanding their gap responsibility. And, you know, they did get some pressure on that quarterback and disrupted him, wouldn't let him set his feet or become comfortable in the pocket. Whenever you could do that, you cause some disruption to an offense. So we're going to need a lot of that this upcoming week because this kid that we're going to face this week is really, really good. But our defense is starting to heat it up a little bit and come on to where, you know, our defensive line can get some pressure without us blitzing, and that's always good to have.
And we'll wrap things up on this with penalties. Of course, you have harped on having your team make less and less penalties each week. Well, this week we only had 5 penalties while they had 11 penalties.
Right.
And there were a couple penalties where basically it was because Jackson State, they tried to get you guys to, you know, get the heated head or blow the cool, and your guys did a really, really good job of not doing that and allowing certain personal foul penalties or other penalties to be called on them.
Right. Well, the number one thing we preach to our guys is things that don't factor in, don't make them a factor, and things that don't matter, don't make them matter. And all the after the play stuff don't matter. That doesn't win ball games, you know. And we always preach to our kids, don't be the guy that caused a team-inflicted wound. And our guys are really taking to that. So because of that, we were able to go into a hostile environment and, you know, keep our head, play disciplined football, and get out of there with a victory.
All right, Coach Brian Jenkins leading this team to a 17-12 victory over Jackson State. When we return, we'll take a look at the SWAC recap, and we'll also look forward to ASU's next game against Prairie View A&M. You're watching the ASU Football Buzz here on Hornet Vision.
Heritage and tradition. 10 teams that honor this heritage. Heritage built by legends and honored by fans. And on December 5th, in Houston, Texas, Judgment Day will be our day for the next legend to rise. Honor the heritage.
And we're in the final stretch of the ASU Football Buzz Coaches Show with Coach Brian Jenkins. Now, Coach, let's take a look at some of the recaps in the SWAC from this past week. Two big upsets, actually, this past weekend. First, we'll start off Mississippi Valley going to Huntsville and beating Alabama A&M 27-24. You mentioned that Coach Comsgy had a good team, and he was going to get somebody eventually.
Yeah, I told you that. I tell you what, that team, Mississippi Valley, I mean, they're just getting better and better. And next to Southern, Mississippi Valley was the most physical team that I thought we played. And they were tough. The game was a lot tougher than what the score showed. So Coach Comagee is getting that team primed and ready to make a turnaround, and they were able to get A&M this week, so I wouldn't be surprised if they got a couple more victories before the season was out.
All right, Southern goes on the road, beats Arkansas Pine Bluff pretty handily, 57-24.
Right, Southern is a top-notch team. I mean, they show it week in and week out, you know, and so it doesn't surprise me that they were able to walk away with a victory the way they did.
Grambling also handing Texas Southern another loss in Shreveport. It looks like Grambling remains undefeated in the SWAC with that win.
I mean, and Grambling is a first-class football team. Coach Broderick Fobbs is a first-class individual. It doesn't surprise me that he has that team rolling and going in the direction that they're going in. So, I mean, right now they're the king, and you got to give them respect for it, you know. And I know he's going through a little bit of adversity right now, which is totally unnecessary, you know. And knowing Coach Fobbs the way I do, I know he does everything right. So hopefully everybody will stand behind him and support him. And this hoopla will dismiss itself very soon that he has to deal with.
Now, a game that opened up a lot of folks' eyes a little this past week. Prairie View going to the reservation, beating Alcorn 40-34. They were up like 40-13 at one point in this game too.
Right, not surprising. I mean, Prairie View is a well-rounded football team. They got a lot of talent. They're a very talented team offensively. I mean, they got a running back that's superb. They got a quarterback that's big time. They got several receivers that can make some plays. One or two of those guys, I think, are NFL caliber players. You know, so you know, their new coach is doing a good job. You know, and it doesn't surprise me. I almost hired him a couple of years ago when I was at Bethune-Cookman. So he's doing a phenomenal job, and I knew the day they hired him that he would get that team rolling. So they're hot and confident right now, and he went down and beat his boss, which is always a good feeling. But I tell you what, you know, when I look at film at this Prairie View team, I'm just amazed, and I'm just trying to find a way, try to figure out how we're going to be able to line up against this team and play.
And we'll talk about Prairie View in just a second, but because of that Prairie View win over Alcorn, it does open up a backdoor for Alabama State in a march to Houston. Of course, we need some other things to happen, but we win this week against Prairie View, and Alcorn can drop 2 or 3. We can claim the East.
Well, the number one thing, you know, I don't concern myself with those things. Those things are going to take care of itself if we take care of what we're supposed to take care of.
Correct.
And that's just the bottom line. So my main concern is preparing to play a good Prairie View football team that's going to come in here primed and ready.
All right, now speaking of Prairie View, they're a team, they're averaging about 44 points a game on the offense, but they're giving up about 38 points a game on the defense. So could we be in a situation where we could be in a high-scoring match on Saturday?
I hope not, because they got a lot more guns than we have and a lot more bullets, you know. Like I say, when I look at this Prairie View team, man, I'm just amazed, and I'm really concerned if we could play with these guys. So it's yet to be seen, but they're a good football team. You got to take your hat off to them, and I mean, but we're going to line up and give it our best shot.
Jonte Hebert is their running back who not only leads them on the rushing attack, but in the receiving game as well.
Right.
Short guy, probably plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I'm sure they're going to try to get him the ball all night long.
I would. I mean, I could understand why. The guy's very explosive, and he's a guy that puts him in a positive position to score points. So definitely I would do that if I was them. I would try to give him the ball because he's an exceptional player.
All right, so Alabama State will take on Prairie View this Saturday at 2 p.m. inside the new ASU Stadium. Hornets trying to get their first home win of the season. It is also Faith, Family, and Freedom Night. So come on out for this great game. Let's pack the stadium. It's the final SWAC game of the year, and we're looking forward to seeing Coach Brian Jenkins and his Hornets bring home another victory and improve their record to 6-4 on the year. For Coach Brian Jenkins, I'm Mo Carter. You've been watching the ASU Football Buzz here on Hornet Vision. Have a great week.